For 30 years, my next guest has built his law firm on one blunt idea: if you don't plan, you're stupid. He even trademarked it, and Andrew Rosenberg runs an estate planning, elder law, and personal injury practice in Coral Spring. He's built a real marketing engine around it. Let's get into what's actually worked. Thank you for coming in today, Andrew.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Right. So, Andrew, I have met a lot of lawyers, and rarely I find people working on so many things. I learned from your YouTube, in fact, that you have written a book, which is also called If You Don't Plan, You're Stupid. You also run a podcast regularly. You do YouTube, you do free workshops, and Kajabi VIP portal. So I want to learn about everything today, what you're doing, and how these things have made you where you are today. So let's first begin with the book. How was the experience writing the
Okay. Yeah. So of course. So I am not, I'll tell your audience, I hate writing. I'm not a writer. It's not something I like to do. My attention span is about 3 minutes. So for me to write a book was a huge undertaking. And if anyone's watching the YouTube, you can see one of my dogs walking by. I'm working from home today. It's a holiday today.
Yeah.
But so the book came about. It's kind of interesting. So let me tell you first how the title came about. So again, the book is called If You Don't Plan, You're Stupid. It's on Amazon. If anyone ever wants to get it, you're welcome to go after it. But I was part of networking, obviously, was and is being part of networking groups, groups
Yeah.
that you meet once a week, etc. So I was
Yeah.
in this networking group a while ago called BNI, Business Networking International. It's all over the world, etc. You meet once a week. And everyone's exclusive to their area of expertise. So I was the estate planning attorney, and I found out a long time ago when we do the meetings, you have to get up and do your 30-second elevator speech and talk real quickly about what you do and what you're looking for, and then you have to have a tagline. I had no idea when I did this. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So I ended up getting up there after listening to other people talk, and then they called my name up. I get up there and I start talking about what I do real quickly. And then I had to think of a tagline, and I don't know why it popped in my head, but I looked at everybody and I pointed and I said, and remember, if you don't plan, you're stupid. And it was like, they all looked at me.
Yeah.
I was crazy. Like, I can't believe an attorney actually said that. And so what happened, which was funny, is that after my little 30-second speech, the next person came up and did whatever they're doing. And then they said the same thing. They said, remember what Andy said, if you don't plan, you're stupid. And like 7 people did it. And I realized then, as dumb as it sounds, I hit a nerve. I mean, listen, everyone says you should have an elevator speech. Everyone says you should have that tagline and all that good stuff. And I've never been great with that kind of thing. And for whatever reason, I knew that stuck, and I said, I got to do something with it. So flash forward a couple years later, and I ended up hiring a business coach, and I believe in coaching. I've had a couple, you kind of work with business coaches, and then you get as much as you kind of hit a roadblock, and you got to move on to the next one, etc. I always like to hear the story. Tiger Woods, the great golfer, and they asked, how do you always get better? And he says, because I have a coach. And if the best in the world at the time gets coaches, then everyone should have a coach. So I'm a firm believer, as an attorney, you should have a business coach to push you and do all sorts of things. So one of the things that I wanted to do a while ago was I think I need to write a book. I said, I don't want to write a book. I can't stand writing. I'm not a very good writer. And I worked with her, and she said, yeah, I think you should too. And so that's and then I said, I kind of have a tagline, and I told her, I said, if you don't plan, you're stupid. And she started laughing. She goes, you actually say that? I go, yes, I do.
Yeah.
And so I ended up sitting down it took me probably 6 to 8 months to do the book. And I basically wrote the book, and I said, I knew what the title was. I wasn't sure what I was going to say in it. And here's what everyone needs to understand. When an attorney, at least me, this is my philosophy. When you're out there and you want to write a book, I'm not there to sell it. I mean, I'm not there to be on the bestseller list or do anything like that. You're not going to make money writing a book. You're not. I mean, that's not what it's for, but it does put you in a different level with the general public. It makes you more of an expert. Don't ask me why, but people feel that if you authored a book, you must know what the hell you're talking about. And so that's why I did it. I wanted to become more of an expert in my area in South Florida, where I am. I wanted to be a little bit more unique. And so that's how that whole, if you don't plan your stupid book started. The hard part was figuring out what to write and how to organize it and how to write it. And so that was the whole next step. I don't know, did that answer your question at all?
Yeah, it does. It does actually, and it's a wonderful thing because you've just told something which really people find it really difficult. To write a book, commit to, you know, every day thinking about what's going to be the next chapter. It's a very very hard task to do. Now, when you were writing the book, how did you know that who are the people exactly that want to buy that book and they're going to read it and they're going to come to you?
So that's a great question. So number one, I never went into the idea that this book was going to be something that people would buy, like mass marketing and buying the book. So that was number one. If you go in, I think if you go in as a law firm or an attorney and you're doing this, you're crazy if you think it's going to be a bestseller. Who the hell wants to read an attorney book, guys? Okay, it's boring. It's not fun at all. So that was number one. But the audience, I always knew who the audience was going to be because the whole purpose of my book was to use it to help market myself in my office. So I knew the audience was going to be the audience that I market to for business. I mean, to try and get clients in the door. I mean, so I knew exactly who that market was going to be. It was going to be the mom and pop, husband, wife, that has a couple kids and they're young, or has a couple kids and they're older and they're out of the nest now and they're on their own, and now mom and dad are on their own and they need to make sure that things are organized so that things, and when and if we pass away, that it's organized, etc. So I knew all of that, and I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do for the book
Mm,
because I do so many workshops all over the place. So I kind of had an idea of what I wanted, how I wanted it to go. And it was kind of similar to how I had it go in the workshop and what I talk about in that. Um, and then I said, okay, now how do I make that into a book or make it sense and have some sort of a semblance of order to the book, etc. It was not easy. I mean, it's hard. It is so hard, guys. It sounds easy to go write a book, but trust me, it is not easy. So I ended up, um, you gotta take baby steps or else you'll never
mm,
get the thing done. So, because it's too daunting. I mean, when you think about, I got to write a book, I'm like, oh my God, how the hell am I going to do this thing? And so I broke it down. I said, okay, I got to come up with the topics. So I came up with the topics. Then I said, I got to come up with an order to it. So I looked at it, said, this doesn't make sense. I got to put a better
mm,
order to the whole thing.
mm,
Then I had the chapters. Then what I had to do was figure out what I wanted to say. So I actually did. I can't remember the website, but there's a website that out there that helps you write a book. I can't. I for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it, guys. If you really need it, you let me know, and I'll look for it and I'll get it to you for your audience. Um, but I use that kind of like Chat GPT or like I
mm,
use that kind of a concept to say, hey, here's what I want to talk about in
mm,
this chapter. I want to go
mm,
over this, the A, B, C, and D. And then that happened. And then I said, this is, I want it to be in this tone and this, that, and give me some examples, etc. And so and then it wrote a chapter. But trust me when I tell you, it's not the same as writing a chapter on your
yeah,
own. It's
yeah.
it's brutal. So what I found, by the way, and I don't know if you've ever done this, or not. But what I found is that when you use AI situation like that, and I used it a couple of years ago, um, it kept running in circles. Like it would
Yeah.
talk about, and then it would say the same thing in a different paragraph,
Yeah.
and the same thing a different way in another paragraph. And I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, this is not
Yeah.
this is not how I want it. But it gave me a platform to start.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
it would give me 10 or 20 pages on the topic. I'd have to whittle it down to like 5 because it was just repeating itself all over the place. And then you have to make it personal. You gotta give your personal experience into the book, and that's what I did. So I said, okay, it's hitting the main topics. Now I need to add I got to make it Andy Rosenberg's. So I added stuff that I like to do when I talk about the topic. I also added a lot of samples and examples of how it works, and that's what really makes the book work. And it's funny because I have people that read the book and then they attend my workshops or vice versa. And they tell me, Andy, I hear you talking when I
Yeah.
read the book. So the
Yeah.
book sounds like me talking. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
good or bad, but that's what happened.
That's exactly what you should be doing, because one thing is that whenever there's a resource that you put out there, it should sound you rather than AI, just like you said. But actually, it's a great thing because you planned everything and you were not stupid when you were writing this, right? If you just keep on writing stuff, it would not work. But then again, most of the people I know, they're pretty confused, right? I know that you solve a problem, right?
Right.
For elders, you know
Yep.
your market, you know exactly the solution and the pain the people have, right? Now,
Yes.
most of the attorneys, they go on AI, they're like, okay, just help me write the headline of my website or the description of my LinkedIn. And they end up writing advanced techniques for probate, right?
Right.
Or you'd hear that AI language all over, right? Now, how important it is for somebody who's in this space dealing with very, very sensitive matters, right? Probate is sensitive, wills and trust is sensitive.
Yes.
Do you think using normal reading level of 6 to 7 is important, or do you want to sound more authoritative by using a language that maybe a Harvard graduate would appreciate?
Right. Um, yeah, that's funny that you asked that question. I've been doing this for a long excuse me, for a long time. I'm 30 plus years practicing. And I have found in my practice that if you talk at this not down, but if you talk at a level so that the clients can understand it and get the legalese crap out of the way. Don't talk like a lawyer. Talk like a normal person, guys and girls. Uh, Talk like a normal person so that they understand it. So because if you talk above them, I don't think I don't think that's good. I mean, I know a ton of attorneys that, they talk and then the clients, they're talking way above their head. They're talking all this legal concepts and all this stuff. And the clients are lost. And listen, it depends on your personality. I'm a Midwestern guy from Indiana. I tend to be just kind of happy-go-lucky and just try and help people kind of thing. And so that's kind of my mentality and that's my nature. So I'm always trying to help people. And I don't personally in my industry, I don't think you're helping anybody if you're talking above them. I think they want to know, what do we need to do to fix this? How's this going to work in layman's terms to get it so that I'm okay and I can sleep at night. And so when I
Yeah.
I write a lot of news articles and newsletters. I write on the social media. I do all this stuff. And also I'm not a bright guy. Okay. I work hard. Okay. I always tell everybody, listen, I'm by far not the smartest guy in the world, but I work really, really hard. And I think that makes up for a lot of things. And I will tell you that when I write, and I use an app to check my stuff called Hemingway Editor. You ever heard of
Mm.
Hemingway Editor?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Ernest Hemingway, the famous writer, I guess they
Yeah.
have an app. So when I write an article or something, I will copy it and then I'll go into the app and I'll give it to them and then it will tell me what's wrong and stuff. And then it's funny, they tell me what grade level I'm writing at, and it's usually about that 6th grade level. And that's just me naturally writing. So I don't even
Yeah.
think I could write higher than high school level. I don't think it's in me. But I am not a believer of talking above the client base. I don't think that helps you. Maybe if you have a very high end clientele and
Hmm.
they want to hear that legalese and all that stuff, and they want to know that you're above their mental capacity because of your expertise. Great. But my client base, I'm dealing with mom and pop, the normal everyday person that has a house and kids and dogs, and I got dogs and behind me you could see them. I mean, I'm an everyday kind of guy,
Hmm.
and those are the clients I deal with. They don't want to hear the legalese. They want to hear the everyday normal language of how can we get this done.
Yeah, and Andy, there's one more thing that obviously points towards that. And most of the attorneys I meet, they feel like that maybe it's a court thing that you have to kind of uh, go in there really well suited and then use a particular kind of language that sounds really nice to the judge. But in real life, when you're dealing with customers, right? A lot of people think that being uptight or you shouldn't joke around. You shouldn't be funny, right? I have uh, almost watched 3 or 4 of your podcasts, and I love them. And they were so interesting because you make jokes. You tell about your daughter. You tell them that, oh, she got engaged, and now I hate it, and I love it at the same time. It's a great thing. Now, for an attorney, it's very for most of them, in fact, it's very unusual that you should be funny in front of the clients. But do you think being humorous and fun helps you build your practice more, or being serious and then all the time, talking about stuff that matters only and not, really communicating that way than normal, friends do? Do you think that really matters?
I think both matter. Um, Listen, I will tell you that if I don't laugh every day, I'm not happy. I need to have fun. That's just how I am. I've always been like that, and I've never changed as an attorney. I'm out there to have fun, and my whole staff, they know that I'm joking all day, and they like that. Everyone loves that. The client base, and you saw it on the podcast or my videos or whatever. I joke all the time, um, and that's on purpose because one is, and I talk about non-legal a lot. When I'm in the meetings with my clients, I think the first 10 or 15 minutes, I have no idea why they're here. I mean, we're just talking and just to get to know each other. I'm breaking the ice. I want them to
Yeah.
feel comfortable. Listen, what I do, I mean, every law firm has different, specialties. I'm dealing with death and with
Mm.
disability. It is not
Yeah.
it's a serious topic, a very serious
Yeah.
topic. And I know
Yeah.
that, but I try to have as much fun as possible on a serious topic. And I joke around and I joke around and I talk about my family. I talk about everything and anything. I tell them all my issues and all the things I have going on with my life. And I do that in the workshops, by the way, as well. And I tell people actually, I have in my workshops, I start off and I have 4 bullet points. And the
Mm.
first bullet point is we're going to have fun. That's the first bullet point. I said, it's a serious topic, guys. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. There's going to be a lot of information, but we're going to have fun with it as well. And I think breaking the ice, I think having fun, they realize you're human. Listen, attorneys have a bad name. We have a
Mm.
bad name, unfortunately. People do
Mm.
not like attorneys, period.
Mm.
And I'm trying to let them know that I'm just like you, that I'm
Yeah.
here at the job, yeah, sometimes I hate coming to the office and work, but I know I'm trying to do the right thing, but I'm gonna have fun. I have a wife and kids, 2 dogs, as you can see in the background. I mean, so I'm here. I'm just like you. I'm just like you. You may be, uh, you know, uh, um, a blue collar worker, you may be a professional, it doesn't matter, but we all want to have fun. We all want
Mm,
to I had a meeting the other day. Here's
mm,
what's funny. I had a meeting with a new meeting, never met them. They never came to my workshop. They got referred in. It was a Zoom
mm,
meeting. And it was the wife was somewhere else. The husband was in his car, and he pulled over, and we had a meeting. And he showed up. And he goes, he said, "Listen," he goes, "I told my coworkers that I'm meeting with my divorce attorney." And so we just had a 20-minute discussion about joking about that whole process. And he never
mm,
laughed so hard in his life.
mm,
And we joked the entire time. I got the information I needed to get through the
mm,
joking and having a good time, but I have a set list of things I want to get through. And at the end, I was able to schedule the closing, and their clients. And I asked them, I go, make sure you tell your friends, that you had the best time with your divorce attorney. And he started laughing, and he said, "I've never had so much fun in a meeting." And he says, "I can't believe that you're an attorney." So my answer to this question is, listen, I think you got to have fun. That's number one. You got to have fun. Sorry, the phone's ringing. Let me get that out of the way. You got to have a lot of fun. You got to
mm.
make sure the clients are comfortable and
Mm.
at ease. That is more important to me than to become serious. It's more important to me that they have fun and they understand things than it is to talk above them. Um, but I will tell you, the other side comes into play a lot, though. I mean, I just met with a woman yesterday who's been a client. Her husband and her have been clients of mine for a long time, and he died driving a car. And she was in the
Mm.
car, and he had a heart attack, and they hit a tree, and it was bad. She broke her arm. It was a mess. He died about 2 months ago. She came in to meet with me, and she was crying. So I was a
Mm.
very serious meeting in that situation. But by the end, she was laughing. I will tell you
Mm.
that. 'Cause we joked about it, and we joked about, what happened, and I said, "It's horrible," but I said, "At least he went fast," and I said, "At least, he didn't hit the tree on your side, so you got killed." I
Yeah.
mean, and we joked about it. But I think you have to have a good balance, but I will tell you every
Yeah.
time that I'm in the meeting, and this is how I talk, I try to have fun, we have a good time,
Mm.
and I don't talk above the clients when I'm in meetings with clients.
Exactly. That's
You
a
know, I
great thing because
Yeah, let me
yeah,
tell you
go
another
on,
story.
please.
I
Mm.
ju I just hired this was the first week, I just hired an associate, okay?
Mm.
And I need a person to help. I'm too busy with stuff. And he had jobs with some major law firms. He had offers from major
Mm.
jobs. We had our interview. I had an interview with him. I had him interview with a couple other people in my office. And then we were done with the interview, and I looked at him and said, "Hey, you want to come and sit in on a meeting with me?" I said, "I have a meeting coming up. It's Zoom." I said, "Well, you're welcome to attend if you like." He said, "Yeah, I'd love to." So he sat in, and he sat in the background. I told the client that, someone was here. He sat in the background. And at the end, we were done. And I asked him, I go, "What'd you think?" And he says, "I've never laughed so hard in my life. I've never seen an attorney meeting like that ever." He goes, "I've been in a lot of different attorney meetings.
Yeah.
I've been offered positions at major litigation for this, that, the other." And I said, "Well, what do you think?" He goes, "I want to be hired." He says, "I want to be hired." So I hired him right then and there. So even my associate noticed that it was more casual and relaxed and enjoyable meeting versus the normal, what people think about attorney meetings. It works for me.
Yeah.
That's my personality. You may have a completely different personality, and that may not work for you. You can't make yourself funny, okay?
Mm.
You can't make yourself serious. It's who you are. Know what your strength is as your personality with a client. Know what that strength is, and then really push that.
Yeah, that's a great thing that you've said because obviously everybody is different. You can't just be alike, right? But here's one thing that I've just realized: being when you're joking around and you're a fun guy, people like you a lot, right? But
Right.
at times when you're running a law firm, when people like you a lot, they might cross that boundary where they start disrespecting you, right? So, how do you maintain that boundary that people respect you while they're having fun?
Um, I've never had that experience. How's that? I think the clients know that I'm a professional. Okay.
Mm,
And they know we're having a great time, but they also realize how much they don't know during our meetings because I am
mm,
talking about the documents, what they're doing, what we're trying to do. I'm telling
mm,
them this is how we're going to move forward with things with your estate plan. This is why, this is what it's going to do. This is what's going to protect you. These are the concerns we need to talk about, etc. So there's seriousness in the meeting as well as having fun. I've never had a client cross that line. That's an
mm,
interesting question you asked. If I did, I would let them know. I would tell them,
mm,
listen, I love to have a good time, but you need to realize we're here for a serious reason and
mm,
let's get back on track. I will tell you, let's reverse that. Let's talk about the staff for a second, because I will tell you that I'm that relaxed with the staff as well. And they have
mm,
flex hours and they all have a good
mm,
time and stuff. I had to have a serious meeting with my staff yesterday, actually. And I kind of let them have it. I said, guys, I said, listen, I give you a flexible hours. I said, we're all here to have fun
mm,
and it's all jobs, but we got to get our work done. And
mm,
so there's a situation where my office, that there was a day where there was no one in the office but me and the associate as the attorney, and there was no support staff because they're all
mm,
working from home, and we had clients come in, etc. And I let them have it yesterday at being serious. I said, "Listen, I'm running a firm, guys. I'm a business
mm,
owner." I said, "This is
mm,
never going to happen again. Everyone, I
mm,
need to have someone here 9 to 5. I don't care if you split it up half days each, whatever you want to do. I don't care who comes when. I want a
mm,
staff in the office 9 to 5 Monday through Friday." And guess
mm,
what? I
mm,
said, by the end of this meeting, if you haven't figured it out, I'm going to tell you who's going to be coming in. So I suggest that you
mm.
guys work it out in the next 20 minutes. I came back and 20 minutes later, they had a whole schedule and
Yeah,
it was a non-issue. So there are times when it does, they cross the path, and my staff did, not clients, but the staff.
that's interesting. Yeah, that sometimes you have to put your foot down because it's obviously one guy's mistake cost everything to the whole firm, right? So it's something that obviously the business owners understand that's very critical. But that's what you've told me uh, about the clients. I meet a lot of attorneys who just they've just opened their firm or maybe they just started practicing. They have a big lead issue, right? So they try to get leads through referrals. Maybe somebody has given them, but then chase after the clients, right? And a lot of clients do ghost them, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, have you had that issue where clients were ghosting you for a couple of uh, weeks or maybe months, and then sometimes they would come up and then they would tell you, okay, let's book a meeting, and they book a meeting and then they don't show up. There are a lot of issues, right, that happen. So how do you deal with that? And do you take stress? Do you follow them through what kind of channels do you follow them? And if you don't, why don't you chase after them?
Yes. So yes to all of that. Um, so listen, I've been doing this for a long time. And of course, you have clients that just like go AWOL. They just disappear out of nowhere, and so you learn from it. So that's part of being a young attorney. If you're out there and
Hmm,
you're on your own and you're not a young attorney and you just decide to break away, or you're a new attorney and you're starting on your own, I wish you the best of luck. But you're going to have this. This is just part of the learning process.
hmm,
I will tell you a story. So I used to work this way. Maybe this helps
hmm,
answer the question. I
hmm,
used to work where I would get the clients in, we'd do everything. I'd meet with them. I'd sign them up. They'd sign a retainer agreement. I would not collect a penny. I would not collect a penny. And then they'd come in for the legal signing meeting, and then they would pay me the full amount at that point. So I did that for years and years, and I never had an issue ever, ever.
hmm,
Maybe I was lucky. Never had an issue. Then one day I had a client, we met, we did everything, and I did all the legal work. And we contacted him, and he never called us back. And we contacted him 4 or 5 times, and never called us back. And I basically wrote a letter, said, "I don't know where you are, what happened, but, we have the work done, blah, blah." I never heard from the guy again. And I turned to my staff, and we had a meeting. I said, "This is never gonna happen ever again, ever.
Mm.
So how did I combat that? When I meet with the client and we decide to move forward, they have to pay 50% right then and there. They
Mm.
have to they have to have
Mm.
skin in the game. If they don't have
Mm.
skin in the game, then they could ghost you in the future. So that is it. So that's how I handle that. Now, I will tell you when I do workshops and we schedule meetings, or I get a lot of meetings from the web, from Google. I have over 600
Mm.
plus Google reviews, you name it. So we get people that contact us all the time and we schedule a consult. And if they don't meet with us, they ghost me or they forget, or
Mm.
a lot of times, they forgot or something like that. Shame on me once, shame on you twice, or I forget that saying. But basically, I do a initial consult for free. If they don't show up or they don't have a reason as to what happened, absolutely no more free consults. The next meeting is
Mm.
$600.
Yeah.
And we tell them we need to collect your credit card information. I just had this happen actually 2 days ago.
Mm.
It was from the web. Someone got me from the website. They made a meeting. And I told Alejandro from my office, I said, anyone from Google, anyone from the web, anyone not from the
Mm.
workshop, you collect now their credit card information and you put an email together and you send it to them so they have it in writing that if you don't meet, that we are going to do a $500 charge,
Mm.
period, $500 or $600. So now I just had that happen. We had a guy, we had the information, we collected his card information, and we ran the card the other day. He didn't show. We don't know why. We called and contacted, left messages. He didn't show. So we charged him. And
Mm.
so, you know what? That's how I combat that now is you got to have the confidence and just basically say, listen, if you don't meet with me and you don't give us enough time to reschedule with someone else because my time is valuable, you are going to
Yeah.
get charged for my time, even though you were not there. Did that answer the
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, it did. It did actually, because a lot of new attorneys, they are in this trap, right? They get new clients and they don't want to lose them, right? So they keep on
Yeah.
chasing after them and after them. And that's a great thing because you said respect your time. And if somebody is not respecting your time, I don't think so. You should give them respect, right? At all, because that's important. That's the most valuable currency that you have. So apart from that, right? When there are two kinds of objections that I see most often, right? The first objection is the pricing objection, where they compare you with
Yep.
another firm. So it's like,
Yep.
that firm is doing 15% less or 20% less. Why are you charging so more? How do you combat that?
Yeah. And my industry, by the way, there's a ton of attorneys that do what I do in this area in the
Yeah.
South Florida, a ton of estate planning, elder law attorneys, etc. So pricing is always an issue. And I actually think that I'm underpriced right now. I don't think I'm charging enough. Um, and I did a price increase about a year and a half ago. I'm
Hmm.
probably going to do
Hmm.
another price increase at the end
Hmm.
of this year.
Hmm.
Um, and when I do a consultation and then I end up at the end, I tell them this is the price. And I hear someone says, well, I'm going to go meet with a couple other attorneys,
Hmm.
or your price is more than someone else I met. I said, good. I said, so you realize how good I am. I said, you realize, I said, I'm going to tell you right now that you're always going to find someone that's going to be less than me. And
Yeah.
I promise you, you're always going to find someone that has more,
Hmm.
that charges more than me. I am
Hmm.
fair priced. I've been doing this for 30 plus years.
Hmm.
I'm at the point I tell them I have over 600 5-star Google reviews. That's for a
Hmm.
reason. I said,
Hmm.
what I do is it's not just about the
Hmm.
document. It's about
Hmm.
the relationship. It's about our
Hmm.
communication in the future. I said, you're not one and done here in my office. I
Hmm.
said, estate planning is not static. You don't just do it and then
Hmm.
you're gone. Estate planning is dynamic. Things change on a yearly basis. You and I are going to be having a relationship for the rest of our lives, and you're going to
Hmm.
pay for that right now. And in the long term, it's going to be less money than you have any idea. And I said, if you're going to base it just on price, I'll give you another example. Yesterday, I had a meeting It was for a
Mm.
mom and dad. It was the two boys. It was actually,
Mm.
yeah, the two boys were on the Zoom with mom and dad. And I needed to do just some basic estate planning. There's about 4 documents for each of them. Plus, we have something called a ladybird deed here in Florida, which is a special kind of deed. And they came back, and this is the second meeting, and they only wanted to do the ladybird deed because it was
Mm.
less money, if you count the total. And
Mm.
I looked them right in the eye. I said, well, if you want to just do the ladybird deed, go to another attorney. I
Mm.
said, I'm telling you right now, I am not going to just do a ladybird deed for your mom and dad. You're missing the boat. I said,
Mm.
there is a reason with these other documents. And in fact, I think it's malpractice if I
Mm.
don't do these documents as well as this. And then I explained to them again the purpose of those other documents. And then they looked at me and said, you're right, we need to get all this done. And they decided to move forward with everything. But they were very quickly just going to do one of
Mm.
5 or 6 documents that I recommended because of
Mm.
price. And I said, go somewhere else. You have to have, God, if you're listening to me, you have to have the confidence in yourself.
Mm.
If
Mm.
you don't have the confidence in yourself, they're going to see right through you.
Mm.
Believe in yourselves. If you believe in yourselves, whatever charge you charge is the right charge. And that's how it works. You'll reach a point, and that's why I'm going to raise my rates. I'll reach a point probably where maybe I hit too high of a price and then people are not going to move forward. Then you hit too high of a price. I will tell you
Mm.
that I am not even close because I know what else people are charging out there, and I am right in the middle. I am more than fair. But I guess the answer to that question is you got to believe in yourself. And if you're charging more than someone else, make
Mm.
sure you tell them why you're charging more than someone else and that you
Mm.
have the expertise, that it's about a relationship, that it's not one and done, etc., in my opinion.
Mm. Also, Andy, there's one more thing that I have actually met a couple of attorneys who do probate and wills and trust. One of the biggest issues they have is with the future generations. So they have great understanding with, say, uh, their father, but then when the son uh, gets the will or something like that, they don't really go with that. So how do you manage those relationships? Because if some guy you have had a great relationship and that guy is now dead,
Yep.
what happens next?
Yeah. So, couple things. One thing is that most of the estate planning attorneys keep all the original documents so that when someone does die, they have to come to the law firm
Mm.
to deal with a probate because you need the original will, etc. I don't do that.
Mm. Mm.
I don't do that at all. I tell all my clients, I am not holding the
Mm.
original wills. You're
Mm.
holding all the original documents. If I die and your family
Mm.
doesn't like this office, they can go elsewhere. So that's number one. I have the confidence to do that. But one of the things that I've done is I created this private client group about 2
Mm.
years ago. It's called
Mm.
the Estate in One Place Private Client Group. And there's a
Mm.
lot of benefits that you get with that, okay? And I'm trying to build the relationship with my clients, and it's not just about being an attorney. And by doing that, I'm starting to bring in the family, and I'm getting to know the family
Mm.
member separately. So let me give you an example of what I do. So one of the things that we do as part of that group, and they pay me a fee, by the way. They pay me
Mm.
right now $695 a year to have access to this private client group. It's about $13,000 of my time is what it equates to. And they get it for about $700. So it's a great deal for them. But I
Mm.
like it because it makes me stay in front of the clients and do things for them. So let me give you an example. One of the things that I do is I have Zoom office hours. Once a month,
Mm.
I have Zoom office hours. Any of those clients that are in that private client group, they can come on and they can bring their family. I tell them, bring your family members on. If they have legal
Mm.
questions, they can come on and ask questions. And then I answer those questions. They're recorded. And then it goes into the private site for
Mm.
them to watch later. So I do that. In addition,
Yeah.
we do like fun events during the year,
Mm.
just not attorney events. So like a week and a half ago, I did we rented out a pickleball. Do you know
Mm.
what pickleball is?
Yeah.
Okay, so we rented out a pickleball facility, and I had a professional teacher So we had people that I said in the first 50 clients that want to sign up as part of that group, they sign up, and I say bring friends and family. And so I had a lot of clients bring their kids, older kids and stuff, and we played pickleball with lessons. We had pickleball round robin tournaments. We had massage therapists there. We had some area where we can hang out and have food. And so that's what I do to try and make it different. They're also on a newsletter. So I do a newsletter once a month, and I try and get all the emails to the clients. And if they have kids that they want me to add on, I will add them on. Now they're starting to see my newsletters, etc. So it's trying to build the relationship over a long period of time is how you do it, so that you can keep that relationship with the next generation of family members.
That's actually a great answer. I love that, Andy. That's something, I've learned a lot because you owning that email list, you're bringing in like in the live, events. It's a great thing because you network with the future generations as well, which most people don't do. One question which I really want to ask is about seeking the truth versus seeking the sale in a law firm, from the client, right? In a law firm. Is it important to disqualify more? And is it extremely important that you have your own disqualification or qualification metrics built within your law firm sales department? Or is it just that copy paste from somewhere or use a tool or give it to AI? It can ask questions that disqualify or qualify the person.
I this happened not that long ago. Actually it happened this week with my new associate. I'm having him shadow me. He's in everything I'm doing for months now.
Yeah.
He will be for months. And we had an interesting Zoom meeting with someone that was from the web or whatever. And I basically told the client, or the potential client, I said, we're not a good fit. I said, I think you need to go to a different firm. And then we ended the meeting, and I turned to the associate and I said, what did you think? I ask him every time, what did you think? What did you learn? What did you agree with? What didn't you agree with? What happened? And he goes, why did you do what you did? And I told him, I said, you need to understand this. I said, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. Sometimes the best cases are the ones to say no to.
Yeah.
You got to learn to say no. Because and this is from experience, guys. I've had clients where and we all have them, that are a pain in the ass and that just milk your time and kill you. And you're like, what in the world was I thinking? And so it's okay to say no to someone. It's okay to say you're not the right fit. It's okay to fire somebody. I've fired clients. I've basically said, you're not, you know what? You're not the right fit for me at this point. I'm going to refund you your money that I did. And I'm refunding you money. Go elsewhere. I'd much rather do that than to take on a client and have a nightmare. So if you ask me what's better, the sale or the truth, the truth. The truth is only, I'm sorry. So my garage just, hold on one second.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. The truth is the only way, in my opinion, to go. I'm a sales guy. I love sales. That's just me. That's my nature. And I would love to sell everybody. But there are times where I go with my gut. Okay. There are times when I just don't do it. And I will tell you also, to give you an example, as an estate attorney, there are many times where the clients want to disinherit a kid or disinherit or do something. And I know it's going to be a potential battle in the future. So those concern me as well. So I get their consent and we videotape them and explain to them they understand what they're doing, and that you're disinheriting and all that stuff, so that we have videotape of that situation. And I've had that happen where I've had attorneys call me and say, listen, we're representing the beneficiary and they're pissed and they're suing the other people because they didn't get anything out of it. And I'm the witness. And I'm like, listen, I go, you can do whatever you want. Here are my notes. And by the way, we have a video and then that shuts them up. So truth is always better than the sale. Always go with your gut. And if you're a good person and you know right from wrong, and you know something's not right when you're meeting with a client, there's just something not right, don't take that client on.
Yeah, that's powerful. And exactly this is the point of it. And honestly, Andy, I love the conversation because it was more about learning. Specifically, I learned a lot from you because it, like Andy has said, uh, and I love that you should basically, the sales is like inherently in you if you're just running a firm, and you should learn that. And learning no is very very important. So, Andy, thank you so much for joining in today. And if I haven't asked you a particular question, or do you have an announcement to make, please go ahead and let my audience know.
Yeah, no, number one, thank you so much for having me. This is the first time I've been a guest podcast, and I,
Oh,
I very much enjoyed it. I hope it was valuable for everyone.
it
Number
is.
one. Number two, if anyone out there wants to ask questions or has follow-up stuff, they can absolutely contact my office. I'll give them a couple ways. My email address is Andrew, ANDREW, at Rosenberg Law Firm, ROSENB as in boy, ERG, lawfirm.net. So Andrew at rosenberglawfirm.net. Just note that you're coming from his podcast, so I know that. And if you want to ask me questions, that's great. That's one way. The other way is you're always welcome to call the office and schedule a time, although my calendar is very busy. Thank God, knock on wood. But my office number is 954 755-7803, 954-755-7803. If anyone ever wants to go look at the website, they're welcome to go look and see what stuff we do. It's rosenberglawfirm.net. I want to again thank you so much for having me, and I just hope it was valuable for everyone out there listening.
It was actually valuable, and honestly, anybody who's listening today, I just want to tell you, Andrew is a born salesperson, and this is the reason why he got so many good reviews and a full calendar. Because number one, he disqualifies. Number two, that I learned is, if you've noticed in this episode, every time I asked him a question, he has an example, a story ready to share. And that's the most powerful thing when you are basically talking to somebody to get relatable things in front of them. Once again, thank you, and everybody joining in, share and subscribe.